Greetings, I'm the one called Horror Show and welcome to VG Therapy, the channel where I talk about games. Remember that game that you played as a kid and it just stuck with you for some reason? Remember Digimon? Well, for me, Digimon World on the PlayStation 1 is a game that stuck with me for many years for no particular reason. Because as a kid, I played it for maybe 15 minutes or something like that when I rented it from a video shop, and I never had very strong feelings towards it. I mean, hell, if it wasn't for the fact that I used to work in a retro game shop and I had people constantly asking me for it, I probably wouldn't have given it a second look. Because I kind of figured, well, if this many people are asking for it, then it probably has to be doing something right. And we'll see if it actually does anything right.
The game was developed by Bandai and came out in Japan 28th of January 1999, 23rd of May 2000 in the US, and 6th of July 2001 in PAL territories. As one might have guessed, this is a game based on the Digimon line of virtual pets that started in 1997, and this is the first game based on it, and there are still Digimon World games coming out today.
I was never really that into Digimon as a kid. I mean, I liked the show and all, but I never stuck with it. And it wasn't because I chose Pokemon or anything, no. In that Pokemon Digimon war, I chose neither side. No, it was just I lost interest. And another reason as to why I wanted to try this is because I picked up one of the PS4 games and that was actually surprisingly fun.
The basic plot of this game is that you're a young boy who's transported to the Digimon world and finds out that some of the Digimon are losing their memories and are becoming feral, and so it's up to you to fight them and send them to the city where there are other normal Digimon. And so you venture out to fight Digimon to bring them back to sanity? What?
Yeah, I'm guessing, or hoping rather, that things are a bit more involved than that. Because I'm no doctor, but I'm pretty sure that you can't treat mental illness or mental deterioration with a fist fight. But in all honesty, as far as game plot goes, what more reason do you need to take your friend out to go and fight everything you meet?
The fighting and your friend is where the meat and potatoes of this game lies. See, the appealing aspect of this game is that with your one Digimon, you can Digivolve into a plethora of different Digimons by meeting certain criteria, and through Digivolving and resetting your Mon, you can go through all the different Mons this game has to offer. And each time you reset your Mon, it carries over some of the skills it learnt so you can use it with different Mons.
And this segues into something that I had a massive issue with. How your Digimon evolves and de-evolves.
I was initially just doing whatever and got my Digimon to evolve, and that was cool, I had no issues whatsoever. And looking at the booklet and partway through having this new Digimon, I did check guides on what the criteria was for certain Digimon, and I saw that there was a higher level Digimon than what I had, and so when I saw a new cutscene for something happening to my Digimon, I thought I was getting an even stronger Mon. But no, he reverted back to childhood, back to being a baby fresh from the egg, with the stats to match. Yeah, the rate of Digivolving, as this game puts it, is on a time limit, and your Digimon has a life cycle, so no matter what you do, at some point your Digimon is going to reset. It will keep the skills, but it will have the stats of a baby Digimon. And so when I got that and then thought about the monsters on the path to where I had to go next, I figured that I would train my Digimon by using the gym, which is not very fun. There is a way to speed it up by skipping it to a degree, and a way to speed it up even further by playing a slot machine and trying to stop the wheels on the 3 right icons, but I quickly gave up on trying to get that. And eventually I was close to being back to where I was before my time limit expired.
And since I have another chance, I figured I'd go for a Greymon because the manual tells me how to get him, and he's also one of the few Digimon that I actually recognize.
And it told me that to get him, I have to have a regularly scheduled lifestyle and high parameters. Well, going to the gym every day would do both of those things, yeah? So I did, and when it came time to get him, I got something else.
Rather confused, I looked up to see how you get this Joker because I was thinking that maybe if you meet the conditions of 2 Digimon, it'll just randomly decide which one you get. But to get Numemon, you had to have not met the conditions to get anything else.
Rather confused, I was going to run with it, but he was weak as all hell, so I had to get him to go through his life cycle so I could try again. And after doing that, I finally got to a point where I could explore some more.
This game expects a high level of min-maxing for stuff that's fairly basic, and for you to have a guide right next to you the entire time, which combined with all the other micromanaging you have to do, makes me feel like that the people who are super into min-maxing stuff would find this to be a bit much. And this leads me into 2 more annoying points with this game.
First is that all of your attacks use MP, and so if you run out, then you either have to run or wait for your special move to finish charging up and use it. And the ability to buy items that refill your MP comes in later than I would expect, considering how much you use.
Like, I would regularly run out and there are no full heal spots.
There's a spot to recharge some of your HP and MP, but not all of it, and it passes time, which means that you would be running out the clock on your Digimon faster than you would normally, but on the other hand, it does bring sleepy time closer, the time where your Digimon gets tired and wants to sleep, which gives a full heal and access to your only method of saving.
Yeah, that's kind of annoying. It's not so much a problem of running back to the same spot every time you want to save, but instead just doing whatever until you're allowed to save. But for some reason, whenever you want, you can save the stats of your Digimon for the battle mode or something. I think that's what that is. It's not really well explained.
The second point is that battles are boring as all hell and aren't worth it. The battles are boring because you don't do anything, literally. The only thing you can do is make suggestions and use items, which for the most part isn't necessary. And they're often long, like you could do a lot in the time it takes for a battle to be done.
I mean, hell, I was watching Dragon Ball Z while playing this to really bring me back to my childhood, and they were getting more done in the same time it took for this game to achieve nothing.
And what do you get from combat? Money, sometimes items, and a negligible stat increase.
And the thing is, I might be getting stuff wrong. That is a very good possibility, because this game tells you jack and expects you to know what it wants.
Like, there are a few aspects of your Digimon that I don't know what I'm supposed to do with, like my Digimon being a morning Digimon. What the hell does that mean, and what am I supposed to do with that information? I was never sure what the brain stat did, and now I have a better idea. It gives you more to do in combat, but what few new abilities that I saw then brings up the question of, does it matter? Like, why would I want my Digimon to be moderate when it doesn't really do anything from what I could see? Maybe it gets better when you're further in because you have more moves, which would also apply to the attack option, but I don't know. And if so, that raises the question of how much does the game change as you go through, because I think there's like 5 other options you can get, and I have no idea what they could be. Apparently one is choosing a specific move and another is defense, and I have no idea what the rest are, but you don't need that many options for a combat system this lacking in many areas.
This game is not fun. It has an incredibly generic story, even more so if you've seen all the isekai anime that's popular nowadays, and the gameplay is just not there. I was doing incredibly tedious tasks so I could avoid doing incredibly tedious tasks. I spent the entire game avoiding combat so I could avoid death so I could avoid training. And that kind of made me think, what am I actually playing this game for? What am I actually getting out of this? Gameplay's not fun, story's not fun, what do I get out of this? And I figured, actually nothing. I'm getting nothing out of this. But, you know what? I don't want to call it quits. I'm going to give it a second try, see if there's just something here that I can do. Okay, look, originally I was going to leave this here, just leave this game unfinished and not go back to it, but I since figured, nah, screw that, I'm going to beat this game. I'm going to go back and I'm going to finish it. And you might be thinking, well, why go back to a game you clearly don't like? It's because there are multiple games I've heard that get good later on, that they get better once you get into it. And so I don't want to be hearing that about this game. This game, from what I can see, doesn't really deserve that. So I'm going to go in with a guide, with a thing telling me everything I have to do, just so I can see if there's any redeeming value in this freaking thing.
First thing that annoyed me when going back was finding out that there was one part of the map that had seemingly nothing. Since it was early on and I found it after learning that a fishing rod is something you'll get down the track, I figured that it was another fishing spot and not much else. What I had failed to realize was that if I'd gone back here at sunset instead of literally any other time of day, then there would be someone here to talk to and recruit who would then open the shop so I could buy MP floppies.
So I missed something that I thought was at the very least rather essential because I came here at the wrong time of day. And I interpreted that as me needing a specific item, or once the plot had progressed a bit more, there would be something here. But no, I just came back at the wrong time of day. And there's nothing in the game that tells you that there's someone there at a specific time of day.
The next thing that annoyed me was the shop minigame. This game has many minigames and not all of them are terrible, but I don't know what the necessary recruitment levels are, so I don't know if I need these guys. However, the shop minigame is the worst. To get this guy, you need to run his shop for a bit. The minigame moves the day forward by half a day, which meant that every time I did it, my Digimon would then get mad and go to the toilet on the floor because there was no way for me to get it to the toilet in time. And also, as I stated before, that the life of your Digimon is on a timer. This game shortens that a bit, and on top of that, it's likely that the first couple of goes at it, it will be literally impossible for you to win, as the things that the customers want to buy will not add up to the amount needed to beat the minigame. The minigame itself is fine, you just have to negotiate prices for items, and each Digimon basically has a set series of responses that it will give you to each thing, which you will learn what they are from reloading your save multiple times so that you can try again without killing your mon.
And at this point I'd learned something that I'd previously gotten wrong because I guess I'm an idiot or something.
The thing that saves your data for the battle mode also saves your game. It only mentioned saving the data of your Digimon and not of your game, so I assumed that it was for the battle mode, especially since when you do save your file, it doesn't show any stats about your character, i.e. money or what the date is. So there was information that I would have thought to be important to show when saving, and since it wasn't there, I figured that it was just for the battle mode, as it basically says.
And then there's this gem. The final dungeon isn't unlocked by you doing something or you getting something. It's unlocked by you having done enough side quests so that there's enough people in your town.
Like, that's cool and all, but it just means that everything you do is kinda meaningless because it's not to advance the story, as there are only 2 missable side quests where you can get any lore or story. So it's all just to upgrade your city and for the hell of it, which I feel kinda takes away from what little story there was, as the goal you need to achieve is achievement. Getting stronger wasn't the point, as there is a gym where you can pump iron all day, so you could have just done that until you were ready to go. But no, convincing people to organize fights in your backyard is true strength.
This game feels poorly made. There's a plethora of translation quirks and oddities. There's a few exploits that I just don't have the energy to go into anymore, because I just can't bring myself to keep going on about this game. It's bad. I feel like I've made that clear. And I'm curious as to what people actually find appealing about it, because there are people who do like this game, and I just can't figure out why. Because the thing is, people don't like things that they don't like. There has to be some redeeming value, and I kind of guess that it might be that the randomness that you get your Digimon could be appealing, because it's like you're on an adventure and you don't know what's around the next corner because you don't know what Digimon you're gonna get. But for all the people who do want a specific Digimon, the fact that people have had to tear apart the game and look at the files and look at the number values for every single Digimon to understand what it is that you need to do to get them, for the people who actually want to do well in this game, I feel there's no appeal, there's nothing redeeming about this game. And if I haven't made this obviously clear, this game gets a 1 out of 4. I don't recommend it in the slightest. This entire game feels like something that's actually in the game, specifically the North American version, where there's a jukebox that doesn't play music, it just crashes your game. And that is basically what this game is. Sounds pretty cool, but if you try and play it, oh boy, are you in for a ride. And with that, I've been Horror Show, and this was VG Therapy.